So Kamala Harris's plan was to release migrants into the country, give them a court date, and then they're going to be good little migrants and show up to their court date in 2034 to hear their asylum claim. It's a joke. It's a bastardization of the system. Well, the Democrat Party, is borderline satanic at this point because they're celebrating death. But none of this is going to get the prices down. None of this is going to reduce inflation. None of this is going to keep us safe from the threats of foreign war. We need to be too big to rig. We need to vote every single way and get everybody to vote all different kinds of ways.
Hello, everyone. I'm Rebecca Weber, and this is your podcast, Better for America. Joining me now is Mike Crispi. He is a prominent conservative thought leader. He's best known as the host of Mike Crispi Unafraid and Last Call with Mike Crispi. Mike has become a significant voice in conservative circles, particularly through his coverage of current events and his critique of mainstream media. In recognition of his influence and leadership within the conservative movement, Mike was appointed by President Donald Trump as the New Jersey state delegate at the Republican National Convention. His work really focuses on promoting the America First agenda, and I am thrilled to have him here with me now. Mike, welcome to the show.
Rebecca, it's an honor to be with you.
You know, Mike, Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, they've been nominated, but interestingly, both Harris and Walz and her party have very little interest in really discussing what they will actually do. So as we inch closer to November, do you think that the left's strategy of really ignoring inflation and the economy and instead really favoring these abstractions such as democracy and continued attacks against Donald Trump, do you think that will hurt or help their campaign?
Well, over the last couple of nights of the DNC, you've heard the word Trump mentioned a lot. You've heard the word glass ceiling mentioned a lot.
Yep.
You've heard the word equity and LGBT, and you've heard all of these things. But none of this is going to get the prices down. None of this is going to reduce inflation. None of this is going to keep us safe from the threats of foreign war. None of this is going to get us energy independence. It is unbelievable, Rebecca, how the Democrats night after night, and I've watched every single speaker's painstaking as that sounds. I've watched it, I've listened to it, and nobody wants to talk about anything. They haven't mentioned the border invasion once. They haven't mentioned the economy once. Literally, it was like Trump mentioned 147 times, economy mentioned 2. Like, they're unbelievable. And I think they're stooping very low in this convention, even by their own standards.
Yeah, and I think this is really why the GOP needs to avoid being drawn in and really get back to the winning strategy of contrasting policies and records, because people do recognize that life was better under Donald J. Trump. But it's no wonder, really, that Biden was pushed out of this 2024 presidential race without ever publicly explaining precisely why he made this unprecedented move. I think the legacy media is moving in lockstep with the Uni Party, and they've already crowned Kamala. She never got a single primary vote. And you've been speaking extensively really about the media's bias, particularly in how Kamala Harris's statements are treated compared to those of President Trump. I guess, Mike, I'm wondering, how are Republicans going to overcome the shady journalists and the legacy media who will stop at nothing to prevent Trump from winning?
Well, I'll tell you, first thing I noticed when it comes to the media, they love democracy. They love a fair and transparent process. Kamala Harris, not only did she get no primary votes, but what we saw last night when they were formally nominating her, that wasn't the formal nomination. The DNC changed their rules to have a nomination by Zoom last week. They changed it to Zoom because they didn't want it to be in person, because they didn't want there to be any type of floor fighting at the convention, because they were so unsure that Kamala would have the support of all the delegates. So what we actually saw when they nominated her and all the states went around, that was purely a formality. She had already gotten the nomination. So we're not going to see any type of fair coverage out of the next couple of months on the campaign trail. You see, any time that President Trump brings up a point, like, for example, he said no tax on tips. They said, oh, it's going to cost the economy so much money. It's going to be so bad. Kamala Harris says it, and they, crown her as a hero. These examples are happening side by side. And I think, Rebecca, it's getting so cartoonish that people are waking up to it, and they're just saying, all right, this is like a joke. Like they're not even buying it anymore because they got the same tired playbook for the last 9 years now. And that has been Trump is bad, Trump is bad, Trump is bad. And the Democrats are amazing. They can do no wrong. And I think American people are just growing tired of it. I saw Don Lemon, he was doing like a man in the street thing at the convention. He was in New Jersey, my state, last week, and he's asking people questions, and particularly a lot of black people. And they're even saying, I'm not just going to vote for Kamala and keep voting for Democrats because the press says I need to because she's a black lady or whatever. So I really think that they got no other strategy other than what they've done for the last 9 years. And I think it's hitting a breaking point where they won't be able to lie anymore. And then come the debate between Trump and Kamala on September 10th, she won't be able to hide anymore.
And that's what she's doing. She is hiding. She won't take questions. She's constantly on script. She walks back major policy positions. She negates really the history. And she does all of this through media and press releases. It is just remarkable that more and more Americans and the Democrats aren't waking up. But this convention really has been loaded with angry speeches. And they're trying to label Kamala as the candidate of joy. Now, this is what I think is crazy. First of all, I think it's critically important that conservatives point out the extreme views that Kamala has on abortion on demand, abortion up until the due date. Take a listen to this clip of Hillary Clinton at the convention.
Kamala cares about kids and families, cares about America. And yes, she will restore abortion rights nationwide.
I mean, I'm really, when I heard that, Mike, it really struck a nerve with me. Do you think that the majority of American people say that abortion is synonymous with care and joy? Do they see through the hypocrisy?
Well, the Democrat Party, I mean, is borderline satanic at this point because they're celebrating death. I mean, that's what they're doing. They're celebrating death when they get this abortion stuff going. They're literally cheering abortion. There was a time in the Democrat Party when, you know, people like Joe Biden or any Democrat that was considered pro-choice, they would at least say, well, it's a terrible thing, but we believe in it because whatever. Now they've devolved into pure Satanists where they celebrate it. They have people marching in the streets wearing abortion pill costumes. Planned Parenthood has a bus set up like a mobile clinic where people can go in and get free abortions and vasectomies. What is that? I mean, it's literally disgusting. So that line isn't going to work. They keep talking about abortion. They keep talking about abortion. President Trump has said it's gone back to the states. That's what everybody wanted. Now states can make their decisions. And it's a moot point. I mean, I don't know what else needs to be said, but these people keep pushing it. And I think the general public, whether you're pro-choice or pro-life, I think you stop for a minute and you go, it's pretty sick that you're celebrating death. And that's what they're doing when they glorify and put abortion on the pedestal. It's really all they have to run on. And it's demonic and it's sickening.
It really is. And, you know, when Hillary talked about the glass ceiling, she's referring to the fact that she's a woman and that Kamala is a woman. But if we play by their rules, there is no real definition of woman. And what if I say she's not a woman? Is she a woman? I mean, it's ridiculous. They really are gaslighting the American people. They're destroying middle America. And I think that really there's no better example of the shameless efforts to rewrite history than the campaign to erase Kamala Harris and her record as borders are. I think that that's an indication that the Harris-Walz campaign really realizes that border policy is a liability and no amount of spin, no level of explanations will make voters change their minds. In fact, Mike, I think that they know that the more clearly her border policy is explained, the less popular it will be, and perhaps that's why she is avoiding it altogether.
Well, she said on the campaign trail when she was running for president, might I add, when she ran for president, got like 1% and dropped out. She was saying that she wanted to shut down all border detention camps. That was what she said. She said shut them down. So what does that mean? What that means is they come in, we have no detention camps because that's inhumane. You give them a piece of paper with a court date, and then you release them into the country to go anywhere, and you let them suck off our welfare system and go get all this money and this entitlement program access. They do that. They obviously never show up for their court date. The courts are behind. They're 10 years behind. So Kamala Harris's plan was to release migrants into the country, give them a court date, and then they're going to be good little migrants and show up to their court date in 2034 to hear their asylum claim. It's a joke. It's a bastardization of the system. And what's even crazier to me with Kamala Harris, not just denying, that she was never the border czar, but it's literally not touching it at all. If you're this fearless, stalwart that Doug Eimerhoff, her husband was saying she was last night, she's fearless. She addresses everything. She's head on with the issues. She hasn't said it once. Nobody at the DNC has said anything about the border whatsoever. They're not talking about the border and they're not talking about the economy because their plan for both are so grossly unpopular and irresponsible and un-American.
They sure are. And everyday Americans are seeing the result of a wide open border. We see crime like we haven't seen before. They tout that crime is looking better and better. I think a lot of it's underreported, quite honestly.
Yeah.
And we see what's happening in our backyard, in our cities. We have a less safe America today. And I put that all on Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. And Kamala Harris, especially as the border czar, she cannot run from the fact that she was border czar and did nothing. And by the way, Mike, Harris requires valid IDs for entry to her events. And she's built walls around the DNC events, but she continues to push for open borders. So, it's like the rules for thee and not for me. America has got to wake up. Something else I found really interesting, a recent joint CISA and FBI press release warned of potential attacks on election infrastructure that support election operations. Now, this could hinder public access to election information, is what they're saying. This is the same FBI that raided President Trump's Mar-a-Lago home and recently cast doubt on whether or not Trump was actually shot. In your view, is this, part of the left's plot to steal the 2024 election from Trump?
Well, it kind of dovetails the illegal immigration point and the voter integrity point. Is that obviously we know what they did in 2020. The Democrat Party, put mass mail-in ballots into the system, and that's when, Trump on the graph versus Biden, and then it was the jump. That's when they dumped in those mail-in ballots, and they were disproportionately at like 98% Democrat. Joe Biden got more votes in the black community than Barack Hussein Obama. Nobody believes that. Just look at the DNC reception last night. So I believe that, again, I always say this, the Democrats are sinister, but they're not stupid. And I do believe they're going to attempt to steal this election again, but I don't think it's going to be through mail-in votes. I think that that's something that we have caught on to. I think two things are at play here when it comes to the steal in 2024 that we need to be mindful of. One, look what happened at Kerry Lake against Katie Hobbs in Arizona. They shut down 56% of voting machines in Maricopa County for a couple hours in the middle of the day, the largest, most populous county in Arizona. They shut it down, and they shut down the machines because there was errors, because the paper that they ran through the machines, the clerk's office or the Secretary of State's office, they print out the wrong size pieces of paper. They know what size piece of paper needs to run through the machine in order to cast the ballot. So it's clearly a hatchet job, clearly trying to cause chaos on the day of vote, which we know at this point overwhelmingly goes in favor of Republicans. So they said, hey, if we can mess with a couple of, voting precincts where there's large conservative, voter bases, we can do that. We can then stifle the election day turnout. That's why President Trump says we need to be too big to rig. We need to vote every single way and get everybody to vote all different kinds of ways, right? People who don't normally vote, have them vote by mail-in. If they're going to ballot harvest, we're going to ballot harvest. If we're going to vote early, they're going to vote early. We're going to vote early even more. So that's something that I think needs to be at the top of everybody's mind. And then the last thing is, as it relates to illegal immigration, back to my original point, there's been reports of illegal immigrants getting handed these identity cards that have numbers on them that are very almost equivalent to Social Security numbers. So they're saying, are those illegals registering to vote? Now, there's a very weird correlation in certain swing states. And I think the exact report of it was in the Gateway Pundit, was that as the illegals are resettled as migrants in places like Arizona or places like Texas or whatever, Florida, there seems to be an incidence in the uptick of voter registration to coincide with when the illegals are getting registered and put into these systems in these states. So I don't know if illegals are being registered en masse right now, but the scariest thing is that we'll never know because they're getting identity paperwork that is too similar to what you need to register to vote. How will we ever track that? How will we ever know that? I mean, these people are, at the luxury hotels getting all these debit card programs from the cities and the states that they're in. Why wouldn't they get bused to the polls? Why wouldn't they get them mail-in ballot applications passed around? We don't know what they're going to do, but it certainly is a big concern and something that I'm watching very closely.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you are. And a little good news. You recently posted on X, you highlighted a significant surge in Republican voter registration in New Jersey.
Yes.
Now, this signals, I think, growing momentum for the America First agenda. What do you believe has really driven this remarkable success? And do you see this as an indicator of a nationwide shift in voters?
Yes. Well, I got to tell you guys, so everyone is always saying, well, the polls are really close in these swing states. It's so close in these swing states. I don't think they're close in these swing states. You know why? Because if they were close in the swing states, then how is President Trump even in Virginia and even in New Jersey? It doesn't make any sense. You would think that if he was surging in Virginia and New Jersey, that would mean that he's up by 5, 6, 7, 8 points in Pennsylvania instead of a neck and neck like it usually is. Like that correlation doesn't even make sense. What it is the Democrats are fudging the poll numbers because they take a disproportionate sample size of Democrats and then they put it into a poll and then CNN runs with it and they try to instill fear in MAGA supporters saying we're losing momentum when we're not. And so that's the first scam. Now, as it relates to New Jersey, my state, and our surging voter registration, I think places like New Jersey, places like Virginia, I think they're primed to flip. Virginia elected Glenn Youngkin as the governor, which was a major win. And we were on the verge in 2021 of electing a Republican governor. People think that states like New Jersey can never turn red. But the fact of the matter is that our demographics are very much a purple state. Okay, we got a very conservative South Jersey. We have a very purple North Jersey. And then in our urban communities that are adjacent to New York City, President Trump is polling better than any Republican has in this generation in terms of like the urban vote. Now, I'm not saying that Trump is going to win the inner cities, but what I am saying is that if you peel off 8-10% of the vote in a very densely populated urban area where Republicans don't even try, well, then you're racking up numbers and that can tip you over the edge. So I think with the demographics of Jersey and with the excitement that has come, especially following his Wildwood, New Jersey rally, which I had the honor of speaking at and attending, I think the momentum has been strong. And I think that for those factors, New Jersey's very much in play. Virginia's in play. And that's, I think, a great sign that should make people feel very enthused.
We've got to keep that momentum going. And that is why I am thrilled that you're joining AMAC at our Boot Camp for Boomers event Saturday, September 14th, right here on Long Island. I'm thrilled that you'll be joining us. You're going to be talking a little bit about activism and sort of this younger generation that really is taking root and doing a lot more. Tell us a little bit more about the younger generation and how folks are really getting involved to help save our nation.
Well, so in New Jersey, we started an organization called America First Republicans of New Jersey. And, in New Jersey, every candidate, no matter who you are, you have to qualify for the ballot. And you do that through petition signatures. So, we, in conjunction with the Trump campaign, took it on ourselves to get President Trump the signatures to qualify for the ballot and sign up volunteers at the same time. So, we had a group of about 10 of us who started, all young, energetic for the cause, MAGA. We went all around the state. We grew our base. We signed up over 1,000 volunteers, and we got President Trump over 10,000 petition signatures, which was triple the amount of what Joe Biden registered for. Now it's Kamala, but what Joe Biden at the time registered in this state. So we were planting the seeds all around New Jersey for engagement. And now what we're doing with that group is we're transitioning it into something we call Project 14. This is what I spoke about at the rally. Project 14 is the fact that the electoral map matters, and that if we flip any one of these blue states, but let's take New Jersey, for example, we got 14 electoral votes. The Democrats cannot win with one of those reliably blue states coming off the map. The election's over if you win it, or if you even come close, because then the Democrats have to reallocate resources in a swing state into a blue state. They can't afford that. So we have been taking our group, our grassroots army, and we have been getting people in their local communities and counties to engage 14 low propensity voters. Those are people, we have the data, who don't vote in every election. They might sit it out. They might not know what election day is. I know it's hard to believe, but there's so many of those people out there. So everyone's feeling, the angst. Everyone's feeling the detrimental effect of the Biden-Harris regime right now. So it's all about getting them to vote and then tracking their vote in. Again, any type of way. Vote by mail, early vote, ballot harvest. We just want them to get in there and vote. So as President Trump says, we could be too big to rig, overwhelm them from every single angle. So that's what, my friends and I have been doing in New Jersey, and it's grown into a group over 1,000 strong. And we're going to be doing that from now through Election Day to ensure that President Trump is in a position to take the Garden State.
Yeah, that is terrific. And to everyone listening, you can do the same thing right here with AMAC. Be sure to join or renew with AMAC because we'll send you information how you can participate in the fight to save this country. Mike, I'm thrilled you're going to be joining us at AMAC's Boot Camp for Boomers, September 14th. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Well, thank you very much. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. Before we let you run, tell us a little bit about your podcast, how people can find you. You've been doing a terrific job really combating fake news, and it's an incredible show. How can they tune in?
So every single day, people can watch 10 o'clock Eastern on rumble.com/LFATV, rumble.com/LFATV, 10 o'clock Eastern. Also streaming at 7 p.m. on rumble.com/Crispi. So you can check it out either in the morning or in the nighttime. And you can watch us on Rumble, where we've been able to have a free speech platform. And we are honored and really humbled to have AMAC, as a supporter of what we're doing. It fuels what we're doing, because in the next 70 some odd days, a truthful, unfiltered narrative is going to be the most important thing to arm yourself with as the left-wing disinformation becomes more full-throated.
Mike Crispi, thank you so much for being with me and for your great work, really delivering sound and trustworthy news, and for mobilizing Americans across the country. Great to have you here with me, and we'll have to have you back again real soon.
Thank you, Rebecca.
In the meantime, don't forget, sign up for AMAC's Boot Camp for Boomers. All ages are welcome. Right here on Long Island, visit amac.us/bootcamp. That's it for now. Have a great day, everyone. God bless you.
The Association of Mature American Citizens is the conservative voice for Americans 50 and older. AMAC is fighting for the values that you hold dear. Join today. Together, we can write the course of America.